So, Arsenal go through to the next round of the Carabao Cup, beating Bolton by 5 goals to 1. A few talking points in the game that we'll get into. Been a lot of news about Arsenal in the media and the dark arts and all this bollocks. And we have to talk about Rodri getting what looks like an ACL injury for City and what it could mean for Arsenal. Joe, what? Let's start with the sort of fallout from the Manchester City game on Sunday. And look, there's been a lot of things in the press and players coming out like Bernardo Silva, Haaland, all that bollocks, talking shit about Arsenal. Probably briefly touched upon it in the last video, but saying about Arsenal's dark arts and wasting time. And I just think it's a load of nonsense, to be honest. When Arsenal were a nice team under Wenger, we didn't win fuck all. And dark arts has always been a big part of football. When Jose Mourinho was doing it and Fergie time and all this bollocks, everyone loved it. And they loved the fact that they could bully and roll over Arsenal with these dark arts and stuff. Now Arsenal are doing it back to teams. They don't like it. Saying about Arsenal wasting time, etc. And look, the only one I will agree with was when David Raya went down against City. But then saying that, he's got a muscle injury at the minute, so maybe it wasn't. But you look at the other players who went down against City: Timber, Martinelli. Who else was it? Who else went down? Calafiori. All three of them players went off. Timber wasn't in the squad yesterday. And there's reports that him and Ben White are big doubts for the weekend game. So it wasn't lies. Like, Arsenal weren't just trying to cheat. You know, Timber's just come back from an ACL injury himself. Been playing a lot of games recently, cramped up, and maybe, you know, slightly damaged one of his muscles, who knows. But the way people are going in on Arsenal, it just goes to show we've got the league rattled. We are, from what I can see, we're probably the most hated club in the country. Don't really know why, but it's like everyone is shitting themselves at the thought of Arsenal winning something big. And you know what? I love it. And for one, I hope the players stick together and it fuels them. But yeah, I just thought the way we've been getting just ripped into from pundits, journalists and stuff, I think is just ridiculous. We had 10 men against City. Of course, we're going to sit back and try and hold out for the win. And yes, they scored last minute, but I don't care what anyone says. It's a better point for Arsenal than it is for Manchester City. And we'll see. I mean, look, I suppose only time will tell for certain. But yeah, we'll see later on in the season. One of the biggest things to come from that game, and like I said, we briefly spoke about it before, but it's now more or less been confirmed that Rodri has done his ACL and will probably miss the remainder of the season. And look, don't get me wrong, I don't wish like season-long ending injuries on him or anyone. And, you know, I hope he recovers well. But I'd be lying if, from an Arsenal point of view, it's not a boost, to be honest. And a slight, you know, gives you more reason to be optimistic about the season ahead. If you could handpick one player to take out of the City team for the season, and I'm not saying I wish he was injured, but, you know, you could just, you know, you have a year off, mate. You can just watch in the stands. It would be Rodri for me. I know a lot of people would probably say Haaland, and that's fair. But they've shown that they can cope without Haaland. Last season, I think he was out for, I don't know, a month or two, something like that. And they still won games fairly comfortably. Yes, they had Julian Alvarez last season, which, you know, eased the burden, and they don't this year. But, you know, the stats prove that when Rodri doesn't play, City are nowhere near as good of a team, and they're a lot more likely to be got at. You know, I don't think Rodri's lost a game, bar probably the FA Cup final, in like a year and a half, something like that. Last season, when he was out through suspension, I think he missed 3 games in the Premier League. They lost all 3 games. So it just goes to show how important he is. And like I said, from an Arsenal point of view, I can't sit here and pretend it doesn't make me feel, as long as we avoid any obviously big injuries, that we've got a much better chance of winning it now. However, obviously you don't write City and Pep off. Pep will probably come up with something. Last year they didn't have Gundogan. Obviously he had left to go to Barcelona, but he's now back. So that can definitely ease the burden of not having a Rodri. Kovacic started the season fantastically well. You've got players like John Stones who can maybe step in there, but I still think he's better coming from centre back into midfield. But yeah, I'm sure that look, they're still going to be an absolutely dangerous team. And still, they're the 4-time winners, still the ones to beat. But I can't lie if I said I think it makes Arsenal potentially right now, if you ask me, ever so slightly favourites to win the Premier League now. I'd say probably 51-49. But you've got to factor Liverpool into it. Liverpool will have something to say, but I'm on about just purely from trying to beat City's point of view. I think it's given us that 1% margin potentially. Like I said, as long as we avoid any injuries, if Rice goes down next week or Saliba or something, this changes. But right now, I can't help but think it gives us a much better chance in the title race. But let's wait and see. Before we get into the title race and continue in the Premier League on Saturday, we'll briefly talk about the game last night, the Carabao Cup. Beating League 2 side Bolton 5-1, it was expected. A lot of rotation. Jack Porter started in goal, only recently turned 16. What a day it must have been for him. He must have been so nervous, bless him. But, he done well. I think the youngest ever Arsenal player to start a game. I might be wrong. But bless him, fair play to him. Then we had some of the academy boys. Josh Nichols started at right back. Had an okay game. Thought he gave away a few really weak and needless passes. But, he's a young boy. But when you compare him, to the other two academy prospects who started, Miles Lewis-Skelly at left back and Ethan Nwaneri in like the sort of right 8/10 position, the technical quality and confidence looked night and day. I thought Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri looked absolutely fantastic. And look, I'm not going to get too excited. It's against Bolton. I'd expect them to look good. But they are just kids coming out with the academy, making their first starts in the Arsenal first team. And, it's been sort of hyped around that those two are the next two from the academy to break into the first team and have minutes and become regular Arsenal players. And looking at it yesterday, I think they both got a fantastic chance of getting significant minutes this season. Nwaneri obviously managed to score his first Arsenal goals, scoring 2 yesterday. And the first one was from a brilliant bit of play, started from Ethan Nwaneri, getting in the left-back position, playing a splitting ball down the left to Raheem Sterling, who just put it across, and Nwaneri managed to get there in front of his defender for a tap-in. And yeah, look, just a good day all round. Like I said, got to see a lot of academy prospects. Ethan Nwaneri scoring 2, Raheem Sterling getting his first goal for Arsenal and an assist as well. Don't think any injuries as such. Who else scored? Kai Havertz getting a goal. Minutes for Jesus, minutes for Sterling. So overall, just a good night's work. And has it given us Arteta a headache ahead of Saturday? Maybe Sterling, made a point. Maybe he's ready. Got, like I said, goal and assist. But I still think Martinelli will end up getting the nod for Saturday. And Nwaneri, is he put himself there to say I'm ready to start? It'll be interesting to see come Saturday. But yeah, we have gone through. In the next round, we've got a relatively favourable draw as well, away to Preston North End. And when you look at some of the ties in that draw, we can't complain. For example, Manchester City travel to Tottenham, so that's one of those two going out. And Pep has said that he's going to rest players, and he's not going to waste energy on this cup. And when's Pep ever said that? He normally takes it quite seriously. So I'm telling you, I think we're under their skins, and he knows that he's got to take the Prem seriously this year. But yeah, one of those two will go out. Based on what Pep said, I'd probably back Spurs to knock them out, but we'll see. Who else was there? Newcastle will be playing Chelsea as long as Newcastle beat Wickham. So again, that's another. You would assume Newcastle beat Wickham, so that should be another big team going out. And Liverpool away to Brighton. So some decent draws. And like I said, for us, we got a decent draw in a game we'd expect to win and go through to the next round. And this is a cup I really want us to take seriously and try to win this season. Get it won early, because obviously the final's in like January, Feb. And, if we're in a good position in the league, I feel like, Jose's used it as a springboard to go and win the league. So has Pep before. And I feel like this is something Arsenal really need to try and use. Get your hands on a trophy early, get that winning feeling and that excitement, and then push on to try and win the Premier League title. On to Saturday. So we've got Leicester at home. After the sort of tough start we've had to the season, you know, the 3 away games, Villa, Spurs, City, all really, really tough games. Getting 7 points out of 9 from them, I think, is a brilliant return. The only annoying thing is that we should have had 2 more points against Brighton at least. And then we'd be sitting joint top of the table looking really good. But, you know, we're still in a great position. And now we enter what on paper looks a more favourable run of games. But games that will definitely bring us more challenges, especially without Martin Odegaard. So we start off at Leicester at the Emirates on Saturday. And why it brings different challenges is quite obvious. Teams like Leicester and Southampton the week after, they're going to sit back and try and hit us on the counter and make us have to break them down. And normally, you know, I'd feel very confident with games like this. But like I said, without Martin Odegaard there, who's, you know, our chief architect in trying to break teams down, his link up with Saka, his creativity, etc. With that gone, it's going to become a harder task. And we're going to need other players to step up, like Trossard, who will probably come back in, Saka, Havertz, and whoever else may play, Martinelli, Jesus. You know, all these players are going to have to chip in now while Odegaard's out to carry the creative burden and make sure that we put teams like this away. If we're going to win the league, we cannot afford any silly mistakes like we had last season when we lost to West Ham at home, lost to Villa at home, lost twice to Fulham. That can't happen this year. And no excuses. We have to win all of these games and we cannot make a mistake. A few sort of half injury problems ahead of Leicester potentially. David Raya is apparently carrying a slight muscle issue. But Arsenal are quite confident he should be fine for the weekend. Personally, if he's not 100% fit, I'd like to think we can get through this game with giving him a rest and putting Neto in the sticks. But it'd be interesting to see if he is back. And then right back seems a problem with Timber and White apparently carrying knocks. Obviously, we know that White was left out of the starting 11 against City because of a slight knee issue. Wasn't in the squad yesterday, and there's rumours that him and Timber are both doubts for Saturday, which will be a massive blow because then we haven't got a recognised right back. Obviously, Tomiyasu is injured like he always is, so it will be a bit of a tricky one. You would imagine it would just be Thomas Partey who goes in there and plays like the inverted fullback like he did at the start of last season. But in an ideal world, hopefully Timber and, or at least one of Timber and White are back. And then we've got an actual right back, you know, on the pitch, which I think will be important, especially if it is White or Tim, just with that link up with Saka, getting around him so we can get crosses into the box for Havertz. Oh, God, excuse me, etc. So, yeah, a few injury concerns, but a game Arsenal have to win regardless. There is no excuses. We should be able to keep Leicester out, and, you know, even if we win it 1-0, we should be able to at least score a goal. So in terms of predicted 11, it's a bit tough, but I think Raya will probably just about make it. I'd like to think one of White or Timber will. So I'm going to say White at right back because he's just... We've seen White play through injuries before. We know he's made of tough stuff. So I'm going to go Ben White right back. Saliba, Gabriel. Probably Calafiori will keep his place at left back, I'd imagine. Deservedly so. Then we'll go Partey, Rice, Trossard, Saka, Havertz, Martinelli. I think will be the team unless there's any dramas leading up to it in training or anything, or like I said, if some of them doubts can't make it. But look, the way I see it, the start of the title charge has to start now. We've got through the tough part, got ourselves in a good position. Now we've got to go on a run and start beating teams and, you know, trying to score some goals as well, because in the attacking sense we've not looked too great this season. But without Martin Odegaard, look, it's going to be tough. But, you know, Odegaard's probably due back after the international break maybe. So you'd like to think Arsenal can beat, who have we got? Leicester, Southampton, and then Bournemouth, I believe it is, without Martin Odegaard. So let's see how it goes. Predictions, I'll go with a 2-0 Arsenal win. I don't think it'll be one where we blow them away. I think we might struggle at times to break them down, but I think we'll just about get the job done. And then, yeah, we'll do the reaction video on Sunday. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. City actually have got a tough game. First game without Rodri, now Newcastle away on the 12:30, so hopefully Newcastle can you know, do us a favour, because I want City to start dropping points as soon as possible. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Would you make any changes? If Raya and that is even if they can play but have a slight doubt, would you rest them? and what do you reckon the score will be. And yeah, we'll speak to you guys soon. Come on, Arsenal, big game on the weekend.